name's Lloyd Starr. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Beatport. I've been with the company for 11 years, and I oversee the 27,000 independent label relationships on our platform. Today we're going to talk about the independent labels, state of the independent labels in the market today. Independent music of all types, not just dance, electronic, have exploded in the recent years. According to Nielsen SoundScan, independent music has seen the market share increase from 25% in 2007 to 35% this year. The reason why that's significant is because independent labels are now larger than UMG, which was the largest contributor to music in the industry. And so we're used to that here in our scene because independent labels have long been the backbone of what we do. But the gap between the independents and the majors is narrowing. And in fact, there are a number of independents that have almost grown to the size of the major labels as far as their resources and impact. For example, last year, Beatport, we reported that no single label was more than 2% of our revenue, and that's changed. It's still far less than the 80% that the majors contribute in mainstream music services, but it is growing. We put out somewhere between 15,000 and 25,000 tracks a week, and that's continuing to grow, which begs the question, what does it mean to be an independent label these days? The majors are less major, with the independent labels now leveling the playing field. So with us is a panel of independent labels to discuss that. So I'm going to have the panel introduce themselves, starting with Sophie. If you could just take 30 seconds and tell everybody where you're from and what you do, and then what label has inspired you to be in this industry.
Hi, I'm Sophie Hall and I run CRT Records, which is an independent label based in London. It was set up by Chase and Status 5 years ago, and I think they would say that XL was the record label that inspired them to set up the label, and it's an ethos that's definitely carried through myself and the other people that I work with.
Yeah, so hello, my name is Steffen Harning. I'm a founder of Milk and Sugar Recordings. We founded our label back in '97, and yeah, since then we were playing as a DJ team and a production duo. So, and yeah, actually it was a hard time in the '90s to get house music on labels because it was all over techno, so we decided that we make for our productions an outlet, which led us to the place where we are right now. And we got inspired by UK labels like Manifesto, AM/PM, and that stuff, and also Ministry of Sound, which was like the kind of house music what we wanted to produce.
Hi, I'm Mark Brown from CRT Records. It's our 10th anniversary this year as an independent. Previously, I worked at Parlophone, had a label with Miles Leonard called Credence. EMI decided to stop the label, and I was in a situation where I was jobless and had no option really, so I decided to start my own independent label called CRT Records, which was a continuation of Credence Records.
My name is Eelko from Kooten. I'm the owner of Spinnin Records and Musical Stars Management. Started in '99. I thought at that time that other labels were doing a job which I could do a little bit better, so I started my own label. We love what we do. We have a great team. We are ambitious in finding the right music and promote it every time in a creative new way. We were inspired by Ministry of Sound, the Cool brand, the club, compilations, the following they had. That's something we were impressed by, and that was the reason we started Spinnin Records.
Hi, I'm James Grant. I run Anjuna Beats and Anjuna Deep with an act called Above and Beyond. Anjuna Beats was set up in 2000 when Above and Beyond, Jono and Parvo from Above and Beyond used their student loans while they were at university to set up the label for their final year project. They door-stopped a few DJs and handed some vinyls outside of Home nightclub in London. And since then, we've kind of grown to the point where we have 40 or 50 active artists across the two imprints. I would say Rather than being inspired by any label per se, we were probably inspired more by the sound of different electronic artists at that time, people like Daft Punk, and the Paul Oakenfold Goa mix was very influential for us.
I'm Andy George, founding partner of a label called Moda Black. We started just under 2 years ago, and I would say an inspiration for us is probably City Rockers and then kind of Crosstown. They've kind of got a similar ethos in that really super high quality music, emphasis on amazing artwork, and also throwing really good parties and interesting, unique events.
All right. So the first question for the panel is it harder or easier to break into the scene now than before?
Do you mean from artist perspective?
Sure.
Or label?
Either one.
I think there are more artists now. Technology's obviously made things easier for someone to become a bedroom DJ or producer. I think there are also more labels. There are more independent labels doing great things. Majors are more aware than ever about dance music and being supportive, and I think they play a very important role, even though independents still are the backbone, I think, of the scene for dance music. Is it more difficult? Possibly, but I think that there's such a strong community that it brings the level of everyone's game higher.
I would say that the competition is quite tough at the moment. There's a lot of offering on internet. It has an advantage. Internet is very easy to offer your music, and it's also the difficult part. There's a lot of music on internet, so to stand out on internet, that's a big challenge. So it's a lot tougher at the moment, I would say. The competition is tough.
Yeah. What I would say is that although competition is tough, it's easier for a fan to create their own kind of world, social networks, and their own fan base, and lots of artists that we've signed have kind of started the momentum on their own. They've made records, they've put them on SoundCloud, on YouTube. And the competition's hard, but I think creatively it makes everyone push the envelope and work a lot harder. And creatively that can only be a good thing for kind of music, because we're going to get more interesting sounds and more unique stuff. So, yeah.
So what role would you say the majors play in the community today?
I can answer that. Yeah. I think the majors, serve a purpose for elevating music into the marketplace on a mass market, where independent labels maybe struggle to fund making videos, marketing spends. As an independent label, we like to take records to a certain level, and if we feel that they've got the crossover potential, then we'll look maybe to partner with a major with their marketing systems, but obviously work very closely with the team at the major label to break a project in the best possible way.
The major labels, they have more money. In the end, the independents have less money, so they have to be more creative on the music side to follow or to set the trends, and also on marketing and promotion. They don't have the big budgets like major labels have, but they are more ambitious to find new ways of promoting records, promoting new artists. And so the role of the majors is more to follow the trend, I would say. And the independents, they find the new ways of promoting in a new creative way.
I think as an independent label, you can create identity for your music. So which is somebody would ask for a track from a certain label and trust that the label will put out music he likes, which is not possible with a major record label who has a wide range of styles. So you wouldn't go and say, Warner put out a new record and you're going to buy it, but if like CR2 puts out a record, you know what you expect. And I think this is a great advantage of independent labels.
I think the indies get the chance to sort of test stuff out, and then the majors, there's so much data available now to the majors to see what's working. If something picks up 500,000 views on SoundCloud or YouTube, then the majors start circling around it and take it on to the next level with the investment and a bigger risk. So I was just going to say, I think one interesting question for all indie labels, the majors at the moment are obviously by default largely taking a share of live on a lot of deals, and I think that's a key question for indie labels going forward is, do indie labels start taking a share of live to make the numbers add up as we move from downloads to streaming, and streaming probably won't fill the gap in the short term. How legitimate is it for indie labels to start taking a small share of live income of artists they're really building?
That's a good point. Does anybody have anything to add?
Well, I think it's becoming more common that indies are trying to work across all areas of publishing, live, management and records. And whereas maybe traditionally that was always seen as a conflict of interest, and perhaps, I don't know, artists wouldn't want to share the publishing of records with the same company. But MTA haven't kind of got there yet, but I do see lots of labels working across management, and people like to be in control of their asset. It's harder these days to separate the different areas. And if an independent label is funding or putting money into a campaign, an extensive campaign for a record, there's no reason perhaps why the label shouldn't then see an upside from if they're also managing that artist or taking an ancillary from live.
I would just say that majors obviously can afford to take risks. Independents have got to be sure that they've got enough of a filter to put out music that they trust and is going to do really well. But that it's important to create a really strong identity, and then hopefully people will trust your output. And that way it's less of a kind of deal for majors. No one necessarily goes and listens to a record because it's on Warner's or EMI, but they may listen to a record because it's on Anjuna Deep or Moda Black or CR2. So I think it's important to do that.
Does anybody here feel pressure to conform or adapt to the musical trend of the time? Or do you stick to your niche?
Well, for us, we are a house label. We started as a house label. Actually, we were afraid of changing, so I think it's more like evolution than revolution. So what we've been doing in the past years changed, but not significantly. It's still house music, and I think changing too much, jumping back and forth with a trend may be a big problem for an independent label.
Well, we always try to bring out the best dance music here with all genres. So it's the dance music what we put out. And every time you see a different trend, we always try to find the new trends and set the trend. Either way, dance music, it's a big genre, and yeah, we put that out. It's not a rock label we want to put out or want to be dance music. And every time a different genre within the dance music is getting popular. And so, yeah, we follow the trends. We have sub-labels with different genres. So we try to bring out the best dance music possible, the genres.
I think as well it's about being passionate. So being autonomous and being able to do what you want without the confinements of, say, a major with their bottom line and their P&L. If you're passionate about something, then hopefully that's the line or the avenue that you create for yourself as a label. And yes, that possibly would be within the same genre or niche of that genre, but I think, something that you really believe in, generally, if that's in the same realm, then you'll be successful with that.
And that changes throughout the time, of course. Yeah, also your flavor of music, same on the label.
We're just a dance brand, and I've seen so many different subgenres come out of dance music over the last 10 years, and now we're in a cycle where house music is popular again, which is amazing. And at CR2 we try and be as open-minded as possible and move with the trends. As an independent, we can do that, without being tarnished, like a major or some of the smaller labels that just focus maybe on techno or deep house or trance music.
I would say with Anjuna Beats, our A&R policies never really changed. We just sign stuff that we love, and never really chase the sound, just wait for the market to come our way, or just carry on doing what we're doing. And we're very lucky in that we've always approached things across the company in a sort of 360-degree sense, so we don't rely only on the recording side. We've got a management company, a publishing company, merchandise, and so on. But I think chasing a sound might be counterproductive, because the cyclical way that dance music works, by the time you've kind of established yourself in that, the next sound will be around anyway. So you're better off pursuing a sound that you're passionate about and waiting for the market to move your way, if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Sophie and James. I think as from an independent label point of view, it's always good to try and lead and not follow, from our perspective. But but also to try and push things forward. And ultimately, if you are super passionate about a record, then you should put it out and let it do its thing. I mean, it's always about evolving the sound and trying to push things forward, but it's important to be really passionate and really interested in the music that you're putting out rather than necessarily something you think might be a hit.
I sort of feel that's one of the most exciting things at the moment is almost any sound can find its audience right now. We've got an artist in the Anjuna Deep sort of stable called Croquet Club, and he's making probably like 110 BPM electronica, and there's no obvious place for that within dance music per se, but at the same time everyone in the office is super enthused about it and everyone loves it, and that tells us that it will find its audience out there. So I feel like the way the internet works now, if, you know, the cream rises basically, and if it's good enough, you back it and it will find its place.
So a theme that I'm hearing here is, you know, maybe, you know, you're not evolving to the trend of the sound, but it sounds like everybody's evolving their business to diversify so that they can keep up with the industry as it changes, like you pointed out, downloads going down, streaming going up. So where do we see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years? And what are you doing to make sure that your company could stay through that?
That's a good question. Obviously, everyone's aware of how especially for independent labels, how our revenues will change. I think potentially going towards the Anjuna model, you know, is kind of more, not a 360 in a traditional major label approach, but making sure that you're, as I said earlier, if you're investing into one side of an artist, it's not so easy to define nowadays of where that artist is seeing their profile increase, whether it's investment on the record label side or investment as a management company. How independence will fare in the next 5 years, I think we need to work together and make sure that the fact that the indies together, their market share could rival a majors is really important. And it's not about just being alone and having your own company, it's about working together as to make a big sector of the market.
People always want to hear new music and watch new TV programs or new movies. Only the mathematics of economics will change. I cannot foresee in 5 year times where I get my money from, but it will change, that's for sure. And people will listening and keep on listening to new music, so that's the most important for us.
Yeah, I think that from the consumer side, it will go to streaming. That means people will no more download songs, but they will listen to it from sources like YouTube, Spotify, and stuff. And we must find models to make enough money out of the streaming market. And for example, like Spotify is like an entire ecosystem. It's like a social media platform, and you must find your place into this platform. It's not that somebody goes to Spotify and is searching for a song like you would do nowadays with iTunes. It's just that you're looking for recommendations, that you follow people you trust, and we must find our way into getting into that lists of people with a huge follower base.
I agree with the streaming model. It's, the revenue's increasing significantly month on month for us. We're focusing on a different kind of business model, looking at local territories, which we've been very strong in over the last few years. So we have local divisions now in Brazil, in Australia, and now in America. Obviously seeing the growth of electronic music now on a worldwide scale, lots more producers, so we're looking for local talent in those territories to kind of break on a worldwide basis, and that's something that, you know, I took the initiative to invest in a couple of years ago, and we're starting to see some really good artists come through, working with in different territories.
I was going to say, I think it's difficult to put a timeline on it, but within a few years, it's hard to see anyone other than DJs probably downloading files anymore. And one of the other things I think we've got to get heads around as indie labels, if you're not going for a chart position, if you're putting out a record, you know, what is your release date? Because what's happening now is the cycle. We put stuff up on SoundCloud first, which isn't monetized, so we make nothing from that. Then we put it on YouTube next, which is slightly monetized, but not particularly well. And then around release date, we put it on the best monetized platforms of Spotify and iTunes. So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot with the way we currently do things. Obviously, we have our reasons for doing it that way, but I think that's something that we're going to have to reconcile and figure out is you know, what is a release date in future? Is it like the moment you hear it, it's on the monetized platforms?
I think streaming's grown so quickly, though. You know, none of us here, myself, didn't think that it would grow this quickly. You know, with downloads now decreasing at a faster rate that we anticipated, and the streaming Spotify platform growing constantly.
Well, the problem with the dance music is that it's going really fast. You know, there's so many records out there, so many releases, a lot of DJs who are very popular, who are playing all kinds of records. So it's really hard on the internet to find a place where you can find the coolest, newest records, where you are sure they are big in a short time after you find it out yourself. So we're trying to build a platform as Spinnin Records where you can find the coolest, newest dance records of the biggest DJs. I think internet is very low level of acceptance. There's a lot of music going around, so the quantity is destroying the quality. You cannot find the quality itself. So you go more, that's how we see it, you go more to places on the internet where you find the coolest, hipst, best quality dance music.
So to that point, Sophie pointed out, in order to survive, the independent labels have to stick together and work together. Is it healthier for this to exist in all these disparate areas, or is it better for it to exist in one location? These different social media platforms in the industry as a whole.
Well, iTunes was such a location, everybody was on it, so I think it's not a matter of giving it to one location, but people find the music themselves and you have to promote it properly. Then they can find you. So we already work together, I would say.
I think it's really important to find a way that's really fair for the artists. I mean, lots of huge bands will stream huge amounts of plays. They'll get loads of amounts of plays. But for a smaller artist, I think streaming is definitely the future. But it's just about getting it right and getting the financial reward for the artist and the label, I guess, essentially.
I think it's important to have different platforms available to independent labels, different services to serve different purposes. You know, SoundCloud to initiate promotion, Beatport obviously to reach as many DJs as possible on a worldwide basis, and the list goes on. I think it's positive.
Why is it positive?
I think everyone has an equal opportunity to place their music in different places and try different things out. You know, and certain things work, certain things don't. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a question of the philosophy of the label. So if you think that you want to grow and you want to make want to have different genres and stuff, so it's the one philosophy. The other one is like, if you want to stick in the niche, you have your follower base, you have music you stand for as a label, then it's possibly better to stay where you are and not move in a way where your followers may not follow you. So it's more on the one side dangerous to stay because you might just lose a trend, but on the other side you might lose your follower base.
Are there too many labels?
Yeah, the market will decide if that's the case, you know. Same with car brands. Are there too many car brands? The market will decide, I would say.
I would say no. I think there's always space for independent labels to coexist comfortably, and it pushes up standards, it pushes up creativity. I just think it's important from a label perspective to ensure you find a way to stand out and don't necessarily just necessarily release music that's that you think is going to sell or whatever, but just have a way to kind of just identify yourself differently.
I think there are lots of labels, but there are not necessarily lots of labels doing it well or practicing good practices. But I agree, the market will decide, the consumer will decide. Good labels will stand the test of time and hopefully carry on for years and years and years, whether they be independent or not.
I think that labels who start with passion and have no interest in earning money, they will come and they will go. But if they maintain for some time and they find out that they need to make money to keep their business running, it's where the point comes in that they either disappear or they can grow and stay in the scene. So I think it will come and go like it always was.
Mm-hmm. So do you think there will be a consolidation of independent labels in our community to a new major or new type of major?
No, I don't think so. We do what we like. We are passionate about it, and the people, the fan base of Spinnin Records like what we do. That's you can see that on the internet. So why should we turn into a major? That's the reason why we are not a major. We are flexible, we are creative, we follow or we make the trends. I don't know, I don't see we are moving into the phase of a major.
I think the independent spirit fights strong, and I think the very nature of independent labels is that people like to work autonomously and do what they are good at and show everyone else that whatever they're doing, they believe passionately about. And I think if you swallowed that up into a bigger, more corporate system, you would lose that independent spirit, and that's basically why we're all sitting here today.
I don't think the majors would like that to happen. If I'm totally honest, you know, independent labels, you know, are here to stay, and they will be forever and ever.
Cool.
Sure. SFX is just going to buy everyone. Does anyone know if SFX is trying to buy labels as well?
Yeah, we know. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then what will happen then? Yeah, I don't know. You? Will you buy? Sell your company?
No plans.
Exactly. So same here.
Cool. Great. So with the time that we have left, you know, you guys are all very seasoned and you've done a lot to grow your businesses. What advice would you give to young artists or independent labels that are growing and starting?
I think try and get an internship at an independent label so you can learn all the areas of the business. So when you want to start your own label, you're fully educated in what you're doing. You know, having the back end set up, legals, understanding of contracts is very important to starting a new business. It's not just about the music.
Try to develop your talent, and that's or your social media talent, your musical talent, DJ skills. In our case, it's dance music. Our artists are the DJ producer artists. So that's my recommendation. Work on your social media itself. A lot of DJs without any label are already popular on internet, and either we find you or you come to us. But it's all you have to bring something different on the table. There are too many people doing too much the same. So try to be different and try to be outstanding, original. That's something we are looking for.
I think generally passion shines through. So at the end of the day, if you're really passionate about something, then you can go away and make it happen. And it's also well easier to actually sell your product if you are incredibly passionate and believe in it and it runs through your blood. You know it inside out. So it's much easier to sell a product that you actually have a kind of genuine passion for. And then, you know, hopefully if you put enough in, you'll get what you put in out of it. And you just have to believe that will happen.
Get as much advice and experience as you can. Go and do an internship with a label. Talk to all the artists and labels that you respect, and you know, as Andy says, focus on quality and a sound that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, I think that the distribution is the key issue. So if somebody has good music, you need a good working relationship with your distributor, with your Fine Tunes or Contour or whatever, to show your catalog and to try to make cooperations with your with these people to make them push your record a bit more in the market than they would do with another label.
Right, but with all the competition out there, how do they do that? How do they pitch themselves? How do they do something that's meaningful that catches your eye?
Yeah, it's like you can do biographies for your artists. You can add marketing plans. You can add your statistics of YouTube, for example, of your SoundCloud clicks and whatever. Everything that can make your record look bigger than another record helps you to get into a higher focus with your publisher, with your distribution company, and so they may pick some record for a recommendation for iTunes or any other outlet.
I think it's about having the best possible quality music you can, possibly make and send to a label in a finished format. Quality music will always come through.
Mm-hmm. These days, a label can do a lot for their artists, but again, the artists can do a lot for themselves. On SoundCloud, YouTube, you can work on your own profile as an artist these days without a big investment, just by doing it. Again, internet is low level of acceptance, so You can have a Facebook account, Twitter account, just do it and make yourself aware on the internet. Work on your music, make your mashups, put it on SoundCloud. Promote yourself already. Then, you know, also go to a label. They can advise you on that, but then again, you can do a lot yourself.
Also, don't send a round robin email to Dear MTA Records, I'd love to release on you when it's, sorry, Dear Black Butter Records, I'd love to release on MTA, and send it to the wrong label, which we get all the time.
So with the, you know, the changing industry, what is success now? When do you know that you've got a sound, a label, an artist, and what measures that success?
I think success for us and for our artists is longevity. So whether that's we've signed them for an album and we pick up the next option, or we've just done a single and we do another single with them, or they are able to go and do another single with another label. I think in the independent sector, success can vary wildly if you're talking about parameters of numbers, so chart position or sales, and that becomes less important. It's about the artist continuing to evolve after you've done that particular record with them. Hopefully with you, but maybe not.
I think it's about building the community. So if you recognize that your follower base is growing, that your click rate is growing, that you reach more and more people with every release, and that you have the strategy to push things even harder. I think that's success. If you see it's going on and on.
Yeah, for us, the success is to work with artists and help them working on their musical career. And yeah, if they can live from that, you know, what ultimately that's the goal. That's the success we want to achieve with our artists. But then again, it's a personal thing. What is success? One guy loves to play, you know, for a crowd of 50 people, and the other guy likes to play for 30,000 people. So that both is success. It's very up to your personal expectations, I would say.
I think longevity is important. I think that ultimately you'll eventually get momentum. The music will shine through, and people will take note of it. You know, it's not necessarily about how many you've sold or how many Facebook likes you've got, but eventually people will start to notice good music, and that'll shine through. But then also I think there's other strategies for labels now, you know, throwing parties, throwing events, building a family and a crew of artists that you can play around the world with. And maybe that's the aim for some artists, to be able to go and do certain shows or build a bit of a family rather than selling, you know, 10,000 records.
Great, so we have just 2 minutes left. Are there any questions for the panelists here from the group?
Hi, my name's Jules, and my question, which was touched upon earlier, relates to 360... Oh, it's really echoing. My question from before relates to 360 deals, and you were talking about 360 deals, but you kind of brushed them over a little bit and moved on to other things. And in my experience of deals, the 360 deal, i.e. where a label takes a revenue share of things other than music, including the likes of merchandising and live, for those that aren't familiar with it, has grown into the independent sector massively. Can you tell me each independently whether you do that yourselves and what you feel the kind of moral position is on it? I know it was asked before, but I don't think everybody answered the question, and I think that's a really significant issue for independents at the moment.
Whose question is that? Yeah.
So did you hear it? It was really hard to hear the question. Could you repeat it in just a few words?
What is your position relating to 360 deals? Do you take a financial share of your artists' revenue from their live performance? And if so, or if not, what is your moral position on it? It was asked before, but it wasn't really answered by all the panelists.
We do all kinds of deals: record deals, publishing deals, management deals, and also one-off deals, but also exclusive producer deals. It all depends on what you expect from a label, you know. Do you want to work them on just one record or on your musical career? That's a different time effort, and time is money. So we need to be more involved with the income stream. But then again, we give much more love from our label to the person or the producer or the talent. So it's all about the expectations. If you gave us a little bit more back, we can give you as a label more time investment into the product itself, in the tracks, in musical careers, remixes. We give you more budget on video, on social bannering. So it all depends. Normally, you know, 5 years ago, as a label, you put out the same record and then you ask for a revenue stream on live, and you didn't do extra. We, as Spinnin Records, we bring extras on the table. We have a different management team. We have a different publishing company. So we get involved with the publishing, but we deliver also the services as a publisher. Same on the management, and as a record label, we invest more in the artist itself. It's hard on a musical career that the first record is a big hit and everybody makes money. Probably, you know, the fifth or the sixth record is making some money. You need those 5 records to build your profile also on the internet. So if you ask a label also to work on that profile, you have to give them something extra back. These days, it's very normal to ask and to give that.
Hey guys, I'm Haley from Eelko. I wanted to find out from you guys what you are doing to put more value back into your music. So with your release of your EPs and stuff, I mean, music's very accessible these days and you can pirate it incredibly easy. What are you guys doing as label owners and managers to put more value back into your music? You know, I think you've seen things, there was something that was released where like you would go into a museum and view pieces of art and only that person would be able to own that specific piece of art. You know, what are you guys looking to do in terms of your future to put more value back into your music?
We're doing quite a lot of direct-to-fan stuff, so what we're finding is that we're kind of putting on sale a product that's maybe quite a lot more premium than a download. You know, downloads can be quite throwaway, but you still takes a lot to actually buy one. So, you know, like we're doing this product called Little Black Book, which is you get actually a book, a physical book, and there's only, you know, it's a limited number. There's handwritten documents from the artist. So it's just about providing something that's maybe a little bit more than a track, and that also kind of runs down the chain and gives value to the music a little bit more, hopefully.
Okay, I'm going to bring Alison back in, if that's okay. Alison, can you give us an assessment of what you've heard here from the electronic independent sector?
Well, well, it was great. It very much chimed with, you know, what I said in a way. So that shows we're all on the same page, which is great. And I just made a few notes. You know, the revenue question, because, you know, we can go on about passion and belief, but you've got to make money, you've got to pay your artists, you've got to pay your mortgage, and we've got to find a way to transition from download to streaming revenues. And I think it's going to be a tough ride. It's going to be a while. So, you know, whereas we can batten down the hatches and manage that, I would much prefer to be in our shoes than have 62 operating companies around the world and wonder how I'm going to live on 0.00102 cents per stream. They're going to have to invent a new currency for streaming. I'm certain of that. But the countervailing point is that streaming actually plays very well to independence, because you can be anywhere in the world, one place, and you can reach out. The scale and the reach that streaming platforms will bring will solve the revenue problem. I'm pretty certain about that. We have to be patient. The role of independence, the role of, you know, somebody said, you know, there's a lot of music, what do you do? I mean, it's fairly clear that, you know, there's a huge amount of music on the internet, and I'm not surprising anybody if I say a lot of it really isn't up to commercial standard. And the role of independence is curatorial. You are curators. You are taking a step to say, yeah, that one, and I want to work with them or him in a way that starts to build a professional relationship. So it's quite clear that, you know, the role of curation is going to come back big time, because we're only human beings. I mean, I often say, you know, when you get a washing machine, how many knobs do you really need? You know, it's the one that says wash, isn't it? You know, I mean, it may be able to do a whole bunch of other things, but, you know, we are, as human beings, we're overtaxed with information. And the role of curator and that, you know, the reliable voice, the tastemaker, that's where the independents also have an incredible edge. Somebody asked about success. Really simple to me. Run a good business. You know, don't be sloppy about the business that you run, because if you don't treat your artists well, they are your partners, they are why you do what you do. If you don't treat them well, you don't deserve to have the business. Keep the revenue streams separate. 360, well, you know, Chris Blackwell from Ireland ran a 360-degree record label, so it's not new by any means. This model's been around for years. It's come back into fashion. Why? Because revenues were falling off a cliff from CDs, which I mentioned earlier. When you get fat on the profits of CDs and all of a sudden this tsunami comes along and washes it all away, you know, then you've got to look smart. Now, 10 years ago, my board was pretty well all record companies. Today, 75% of them are diversified around publishing, merchandise, live, recording, management, you name it. But they run good businesses. They know how to avoid the conflict of interest, and if you're worried about how to do that, we can help you. We've worked on business models that keep that separate. Run a good business is an absolute rule of thumb when you're in the independent sector, because if you don't, you're not doing anybody any favors. And then, you know, the value question I thought was great, because again, you know, when I was at a major, I'd come from an independent background where we used to make 64-page booklets. 64-page booklets. We used to make things that were gorgeous, you know, really, really lovely, that you'd want to own, you'd want to keep, and you'd want to treasure. And I was only allowed to make a 4-page pullout, because that's as far as the manufacturing budget allowed. So where you will be incredibly, again, advantaged, and you can see it at the independent label markets that we run with Joe from Angular. I mean, they're going from strength to strength. You go down to an independent label market, there's one in Spitalfields in July, and it's just full of lovely, great things to buy. Artists turn up. Martin Mills is doing a Beggar's Archive mixtapes this year. Richard Russell did mixtapes from XL. You know, that's where you find real value. And the guys have to run back to their offices to get more vinyl. And vinyl, we have 60% of the vinyl market. You know, the majors like to see things streamlined, so they're very much trying to sort of, you know, kill off the CD and get us all over to digital. And it, you know, none of these things lie down. Vinyl has actually doubled in sales and volume in the last year, and it will double again. And, you know, they're lovely, they're gorgeous, they're so much nicer than a shoddy little CD. And as far as downloads are concerned, I mean, you know, I might have said I'm old here, I just can't get my head around those. I can do streaming, but who wants to pay something for nothing? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. Anyway, so it was a great panel. Thank you ever so much for having me and for putting a spotlight on this.
Yeah, no, thank you for your input, Alison. I think it's been great to have you here. And thank you, everybody. Thank you.